We're rolling.
Welcome to the REI Rookies Podcast.
The Real Estate Investing Rookies Podcast, episode number 71, where we invite you to follow us on our journey towards financial freedom using the power of real estate. I'm Josh Koth.
And I'm Jack Haas.
And here at REI Rookies, we believe in a couple key principles. Number one, the best way to retain information is by teaching it to others. And number two, a rising tide lifts all boats. We're not competitors, we're a community. So let's get into some real estate investing.
On our podcast today, we welcome Whitney Nicely, the queen of real estate investing in East Tennessee. Today, she will be sharing her passion for real estate and savvy strategies to help you buy property. It's the kind of information she shares with her coaching clients, motivating them to take the leap into real estate investing. Welcome, Whitney.
It's cool. It's Whitney, like Houston, nicely, like nicely done.
So we're just going to jump right into this, Whitney. I know that you are a property investor, speaker, investor, coach. Why don't you give kind of a little background of your background and your experience?
Awesome. So I grew up as a real estate investor's kid. I did not realize that bills came in the mailbox until I was in my 20s. I thought money came in the mailbox. That's how I was raised. And so my mom would save up a bunch of money, then go buy a house and rent it out and hope and pray she got her money back before she died. And that just didn't work for me. I needed a formula. I needed a strategy. And I was in my 20s. So I very quickly went through my entire life savings trying to buy houses. I went broke trying to get rich. Like a lot of people have done that. Mm-hmm. And I realized, so I bought two houses, used my life savings and my brother's life savings. And we didn't really have that much to show for it, but two little crappy houses. So I got creative. That was in 2013. And in 2014, I started learning about lease options and owner financing. And I bought 14 houses in 9 months without using money, without using banks, without using credit, that whole shebang. And I've just grown and grown from there into apartments and land and all sorts of fun deals.
So when you say lease option, this is when you're purchasing the property?
Yeah, I do sandwich lease options, technically. So I buy it on a lease option, and then I sell it on a lease option.
You just have some arbitrage built in on the purchase price and the payment-wise, so then you get in your cut kind of in the middle there?
Yes, and on the down payment. So I usually give people $10 to buy these houses and control the deal. And then people pay me $10,000 to move in. So I get paid up front. And then I pay $800 to $1,000 a month, but people pay me $1,200 or $1,500 a month. So I'm making monthly money too. And then I buy it for whatever they owe on it, maybe $100, maybe $120,000, but I can sell it for what it's worth, $120,000 or $150,000. So I make, 10 or 15 up front. I make $300 or $400 or $500 every month, and then I make 10 or 15 or 20 or 50 on the back end too. So I make money three different ways.
Okay, I have like 1,700 questions now from that tirade. But before we launch into the specifics of how you do the sandwich lease options, I actually want to go back to your beginnings and ask how important it was, do you think, being raised in a family of investors versus, somebody who had a 9-to-5 job? Do you think that was crucial to your interest?
Well, I'm a fourth generation entrepreneur. My family owns a dump truck company. I had a 9-to-5. That's how I afforded that second house that we bought. It took us 18 months to flip it because we would go to work and then we'd go to Lowe's and buy whatever we needed. And then the next month we'd go to work and then we'd pay somebody to do whatever it was we bought. Right. And back and forth for 18 months to get that house flipped because we were working to afford the flip.
Yep. So how crucial do you think mindset is? Because we always talk about how important mindset is to just have the ability to withstand all the rejection and the negativity, when you're putting deals. So, getting back to when you began, do you think that you kind of had a little bit of a head start mindset-wise versus people that jump in cold when they're...
I probably did have a little bit of head start because I was used to my dad buying and flipping cars and going through a lot of calls to be able to make a couple $1,000. I was used to my mom taking risks and getting turned down for jobs and not getting to do this and that and the other. And so, coming from a small business family, I probably had some mindset advantage that, whatever I decided to do, I was just going to do it. And I also know that, since I was a little girl, I've only quit a couple different things in my life. And one of them was snowboarding because I'm scared of heights and I didn't want to get off the bunny slope. And so I quit snowboarding school after like an hour because I wasn't going to go up there. And I remember, my mom saying, how did it feel when you quit after we got back home and a couple weeks later? And I was like, it didn't feel good to quit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've known since I was a little girl that it doesn't feel good to quit. So you just keep going, even if you're scared, even if you got some fears, even if you don't like heights, you just go and you figure it out along the way. And that way you can be proud of yourself instead of not feeling good about it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think that people that are successful in business don't have fear. But I'd say the opposite is true, is they have that, but they move forward even in the face of that.
I live for fear because I know that's when I'm about to do something really cool that I'm going to brag about when I'm in that rocking chair,
Right. That's awesome. So now let's get into, it's funny because we have kind of similar parallel paths here. We started about 3 years after you, but I did the same thing. I had a big chunk of cash, and then I started putting 20% down, and then realizing real quick I was going to run out of money. So then, we've kind of up here, what we do is we use private money to acquire properties, and then we put a long-term financing on and extract all the acquisition money out of the property. And that's how we can scale up and keep going.
So I don't do that at all. My goal is
right.
to get 10 houses paid off by the end of this year, and I'm on number 7.
Yeah, so I was going to ask how much of that is market specific. Now, you said the houses you're buying, typically you're getting them for the cost of what they're possibly. And you said an average note amount or a loan amount is around $100,000.
Yes.
Okay.
And I've got some
similar to what we have.
I've got nicer houses and I've got some lower houses.
Mm-hmm.
But when people give me, 10 or 15 or $40,000 to move into the house, like especially the lady that gave me $40,000, I used that to pay off a $20,000 house and I kept 20.
Wow.
And then, the next time I got 10 or 15, then I could buy another $50,000 house. And so every time I get all this big option money, I save it and then I pay something off.
Now, here's a question for you.
Okay.
How difficult is it? I mean, that seems like a really large amount of money. If they had that much money, why wouldn't they just go get a mortgage or maybe buy a crappy house for themselves with cash? Like mentally, it seems like there's kind of a disconnect between somebody's ability to have that much liquid capital and why don't they just go buy a house? Like, how are you getting that much money from people?
In the country we live in today, there's a group of people who work hard and save up a bunch of money, and they love their savings account.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very, very careful with what they spend their money on. And then there's another group of people that gets insurance settlements, and they get inheritance money,
mm-hmm.
and they get workers' comp settlements, and they get all sorts of large chunks of change from the lottery and everything, and they aren't as attached to that money.
Right.
And easy come, easy go. And they have crappy credit, or they're new to the area and they don't have a job history, or they're buying a house for $120 that if they put $10,000 in will be worth $130 or $140, and they'll want to get all of that mortgaged. But in the meantime, they get shiny object syndrome, and their sister buys a house in South Carolina, and they decide they want to go live with her.
So how are you attracting, let's ask about the two different sides of this. How are you marketing for the properties you can find to do lease options on?
I work with tired landlords, mom and pa sellers who are tired of being landlords. Either they inherited a property and mom and dad actually rented it, and they're like, it can't be that hard. And then they rent it, and they're like, crap, this is a lot of work. I don't want to do this anymore. Whitney, come buy my house. Or I find other tired landlords who thought it'd be fun to become a landlord, and they bought a house with 20% down, and then they also realized toilets and tenants aren't that much fun.
Right.
And then they say, you know what, it's been empty. We've been making payments on an empty house, but we're ashamed. We don't want anybody to know about it. Will you just take it over for what we owe on it?
And how are you marketing for these people?
I talk on Facebook a lot. I'm really mouthy, and word of mouth still is the number one form of advertising anywhere in the world. And I tell everybody I know, I buy houses. I wear a little ugly yellow button that says I buy houses. I buy houses at the grocery store. People stop me at the bank, at the movies, all over the place, because everybody knows somebody who hates being a landlord, or everybody knows somebody who hates their landlord and would like to have somebody buy them out of this problem. It's
so do you
not
do
hard
any
to find
direct mail or any of the normal strategies, Bandit signs, direct mail, any of that stuff, or is it all pretty much just word of mouth and Facebook?
It's a lot of word of mouth. I do yellow letters. I will mail yellow letters to my honey hole. Yeah, that's fine. It's kind of boring and it's expensive as all get out, but it's okay. It works.
Yep.
And Bandit signs, I do reverse psychology on Bandit signs. So instead of saying, I buy houses, I buy houses, I buy houses, cash, close, quick, anytime, blah, blah, blah. I say, I have a 3-bedroom house in Powell. Call me if you want to buy it. And sellers drive by those signs and they go, oh, she's got a 3-bedroom in Powell. I've got a 3-bedroom in Powell. I bet she'd buy mine too. And then they call. So it's social proof.
Yep.
And it's not spammy.
Sure.
They love it.
So what market do you focus on?
I'm in East Tennessee.
Okay. Do you do most of your deals in East Tennessee?
I've got 2 counties and 15 houses in both those counties, 6 in one and 7 in another, and then 1 random house in Georgia.
Okay. So let's go back to the lease option thing here. You buy these from the sellers. How does that look? You're doing a lease option with them, right?
Yep.
And then you sandwich your potential buyer on top of that. Can you kind of walk us through that part of the process?
So let's say I have a seller, and in my tired landlord example, they lived in the house and then their family outgrew it and they bought another house and they just started renting the old house for whatever reason. People do that all the time.
Just to stop you real quick, are these houses mostly paid off or just have very low?
No, this one has a mortgage on it in this specific example. So they buy another house because they got fine credit. They don't miss any payments, and they've got maybe a family member that needs to move into a house, and they stay for a while, and then they stop paying, and then they move in with their girlfriend, and then they leave and the house is empty, and they think, well, it's okay, we'll rent it to somebody else. And so 2 or 3 years go by, and they're just kind of renting it kind of half-heartedly. And then they look up and they say, I don't think we're actually making any money here. But they don't want to, for whatever reason, they don't want to sell it. They don't want to list it. They don't want to deal with an agent. They just want somebody that's going to give them a clear plan and little to no headache. And
so
I find those people.
Are you like taking over their mortgage, or how does that work?
I put a lease option on it. I don't do subject to, because that's when the title transfers, which signals the due on sale clause. I don't want that to happen. Any bank in the country will let you rent your house. No problem. So I rent the house. Any bank in the country will let you sell your house. No problem. So I get an option to buy the house. All in the same piece of paper. I'm renting it with the option to buy it sometime in the future. But I'm agreeing to pay what you owe on it right now. So you owe $100 on it. You're paying $800 a month, PITI, and I can sell it for $120, and I can get $1,200 a month for it. So I get 3 months to advertise the property. And in those 3 months, I find somebody to give me $12,000 to move in, $15,000 to move in.
Okay. And then how do you handle, I know, there's different conversations on different rent to own methods, land contracts, contract for deed, lease option, all that stuff. How do you guys handle repairs on the properties with the tenants, whether they're responsible or not? How does that work out?
So it depends on the situation. Most of my houses are fine. Any repairs that would need to be made, it was because their kid read the tricycle through the wall. Fix your own sheetrock. The toilet got clogged because your kid sent a toy down the toilet. Call the plumber. Like, I don't have
establish that up front.
Yeah, I don't have any houses that need walls torn down or, septics redone, or it's. What
happens if like a water heater goes out? Who is responsible for that or something?
They are. They've been using it.
Okay.
Yeah, they've been using it.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure because that's one question we've had is who is legally liable? Because, when you're renting a house, the landlord typically is. But when you
I come from commercial real estate, and in like a double net or a triple net lease, the tenant is responsible for that stuff. And I'm training my people to be buyers. When you get that mortgage and the toilet gets clogged, you don't call the bank. I want my people to be buyers, not renters.
Do you ever get any pushback from tenants that are kind of professional tenants that?
Nope, because they don't have $10,000 to put in to move my house.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah,
I weeded them out in the beginning. Money talks and the rest walks.
Yeah, that's right.
So after that 3-month period, you have to advertise the property. If you can't find a tenant or somebody to move into that property at that time, it just voids the contract? How
Or I start making payments. I've had some that it's taken me 6 months, but then I got, 20,000 instead of 10.
Sure.
Sometimes it depends on the season. In January, I try to ask for 5 months because nothing's really going to happen in 90 days in January.
Try that up here in Fargo.
I know. It totally depends on the time of the year. And, in America, we've got this 6-week roller coaster. Every 6 weeks, there's a holiday or something that throws everything off. Yep. You got Mother's Day, you got Flag Day, you got Father's Day, you got 4th of July, you got all these different holidays all the time, and it throws the whole system off. So those 3 months generally cover everything, but I'll ask for 4 or 5 months if I need to. Or I'll say 3 months, I'll start making the payments, and I will actually start making the payments like I said I would.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got the choice. I can either avoid it and say, sorry, I couldn't make it happen, or I can say, let's start making the payments. I know it's going to happen as soon as spring breaks.
Okay. Awesome. So now we kind of covered how you market for properties. Now, is it basically just the same methods you use work also for attracting tenants as well? You put up that, because obviously the Bandit sign, this says I have a house for sale. That's actually designed to kind of attract both, right?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a twofer.
Right. I love that.
So Bandit signs work, Craigslist works, Zillow works, Facebook works, YouTube works. The only thing that doesn't work that I've tried is an email campaign, like trying to get a buyer's list and deal with those people. That's a disaster. God, those people are crazy.
They haven't had good luck with that down there, huh?
Yeah, no. I don't keep a buyer's list. I'm certainly not building a buyer's list before I go buy a house. Buyers are a dime a dozen.
Right.
You just need somebody with money that likes this house enough to move in it.
Yeah.
And I don't care if they want to live in it for a while and then cash me out and sell it themselves and then go on. I don't care. I will tell you though, out of
you have your profit built in either way. So
yeah, I'm going to make mine. I don't care if anybody else makes any or not. So the way I've done mine, I've only had one person actually cash me out of that mortgage. Most of the time I keep getting option fees and paying off houses so that I'm free and clear in these houses and I'm really making net $10,000 or $15,000 a month.
Now, let me ask you this. Okay. So you have a tenant buyer in, and what term of lease portion of the lease option do you typically do?
So I'll get 5 or 10 years with my seller.
Okay.
And I will only give my tenant buyer 1 or 2 years.
1 or 2. Okay.
I give them all 1 year, but if they give me twice as much money, I will give them 2 years.
And and you said you only had a couple that have actually cashed you out?
No, just one. Not even a couple. Just one.
Just literally one. So most people just make it to the year and then say, well, either they want to re-up again for another lease or they just vacate?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
So do you think that do you think they have the best intentions of actually purchasing the property at the end and they just aren't able to put it together by the end of the year?
Yep. Or they break up.
Right.
A lot of people. I had one person the last week of January in 2017. They gave me $15,000. They got married the first weekend in February, and they moved in Valentine's Day. Okay, so 3 weekends. They gave me $15,000, got married, and moved in. By July 4th, they were divorced. He was out in August, and she was out in September. I managed the property. I made the payments October, November. And then in December, I had somebody else give me $12,000 to move in. And he paid until May. Now, he hasn't paid June or July. So he's going to be gone. I'm going to get somebody else in December to give me another $12,000 or $15,000.
Do you find it's interesting that these people are willing to give you $10,000, $15,000, not even fulfill the full year of the lease portion, and they've been paying payments the whole time? I mean, that just seems so from the outside, it seems so.
But remember, there's two different types of people. There's people that are saving up their money and they're really attached to it. Mm-hmm. And there's other people that get it and then fall out of love with it.
Right.
And it has nothing to do with me. It usually has nothing to do with the house.
Exactly.
It's just life.
Yep. And it just looks, from the outside, it looks incredibly silly for them to do that. But it's amazing how many times that does happen that they don't actually fulfill the terms.
It happens in cars all the time, and nobody thinks that's silly. Nobody feels bad about cars doing that and coming back. And they just think, oh, they got a different car. Oh, well, whatever.
Is there a formula that you use to determine the option payment size?
As much as I can get.
Okay. No, we're
I'm not really good at math. I am good at counting money, though.
Sure.
Measure the stack by its size, right? That looks about right.
Yeah, that looks about right. So at the end of let's say they have a 12-month lease with an option. At the renewal, do you just extend that existing contract, or do you go through the whole lease option process again?
It depends. They know up front whether we're going to extend or not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm either going to hold them to it, or I'm going to give them another 12 months and they're going to give me another 10 grand. And a lot of times they can't come up with the second 10 grand. And they know that from day one.
Okay, so you won't just give them another year lease. They got to come up with another option payment?
Another 5 or 10 or 15. Usually whatever they gave me in the beginning, I'm going to get it again to go for another year. Time is money. I'm going to get if they leave, I'm going to get somebody else to give me that money anyway.
Yep.
And I'm under the gun. I've only got 5 or 10 years to cash out my seller. So I can't just let them hang out forever.
No.
You know, I got to get mine, or they got to get their mortgage, or they got to go.
Exactly. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. The amount of money flying around there.
It's amazing.
Wow.
One of my girls has made $70,000 in 7 months just doing these deals. And now she's also started keeping some of the properties.
Right.
She's got 7 doors. She's got 2 duplexes and a triplex that she's only got $4,000 invested in.
That's awesome. That's your daughter, you said?
No. I teach women how to do this.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. When you say girls, like a student, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, tell us about your coaching business. How did that get going? Did people see you out there just killing it and wanted some help, or how did you get
women got tired of listening to boring old white guys talk about real estate and not understand it and feel like it was their dad talking down to them. Mm-hmm. So when I started talking about real estate, they were like, hey, I think I could talk to her. Hey.
So you found there was an underserved niche kind of now, what would you say? Like, I mean, obviously we host our local real estate meetup too, and it is predominantly dudes for sure.
For sure.
Have you found like the same thing down there? It's what, 5 to 10%? It's a
good old boys club. And it's so weird because most real estate agents are women, but most investors are men. And I'm on a mission to flip that. If you're going to be a real estate agent, you need to be an investor.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to be an investor, you don't need a license. But I just feel like there's such a need for women to become investors. We're going to live longer, and we spend more money than when we're here anyway. So we need to have more money coming in.
Right.
I mean, simple example. If my husband goes to the grocery store for bread and milk, he comes back out for bread or milk. If I go into the grocery store for bread and milk, I come back out with cinnamon rolls and bananas and strawberries and a pizza and some ice cream and shampoo. And like, I spend $100. And a duplex, probably. Yeah, exactly. It's super expensive for me to go anywhere because I end up with a house. People were laughing the other day. One of our girlfriends was like, I can't go to car shows anymore because I always want to bring a car home. I was like, yeah, I can't go to open houses anymore because I want to bring a house home.
At least you're buying things that are appreciating, right?
Yeah, yep. And then paying them off so I can keep them forever until the termites take them away.
So explain how your coaching works. Like if people want to find out more about that, do you exclusively coach women or is that just kind of your target?
That's my target. And out of 135 people in my first base level program, First Deal Done Fast, there's probably 9 dudes, 8, my husband's in there. So there's probably 8 dudes in there. And then in my group coaching, I only take 9 people at a time, and it's 8 women and 1 guy.
Right. Okay.
So the dudes are there. I don't refuse to help them. I just really, 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 really encourage women to get out there and get their deals done.
And it's natural that they would gravitate towards you as well. It just makes sense.
Yeah. And we talk different. We negotiate different. We tell different stories. We relate to each other differently. And so I've already learned from the guys how to do this and then translated it into woman. So now when I teach women, they get to skip that learning curve and just go for it.
Maybe you could explain to me, as long as I have you secretly here. When I tell my wife, I say, where do you want to go for dinner? And she says, oh, I don't care, pick anywhere. What does that really mean? Because I know she doesn't mean that.
That means make 3 suggestions and she'll pick one of the 3.
Okay. I need help there because Every time
And that's what I do.
Never right.
It's the same thing with sellers. I make 3 offers.
Right.
I'll buy your house for this price, or this price. And then they just pick which one they want. It's the same with your wife. She totally understands. If you give her 3 options, she will choose the one that suits her the best. If you give your sellers 3 options, they will choose the one that suits them the best.
Right. Don't give them a yes or no. Give them a pick. Which one of these do you prefer? Which
one would you like?
Yeah, I love that. That's a great tip.
Because I know how I'm going to win on all 3 of these offers. I know how I'm going to make money on all 3 of these offers. I just want to make sure that it's a win-win for you.
Yeah, you don't care which one they pick. They're all profitable for you. So go ahead.
As long as I get the contract, my competitor didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still making money. Whichever one. I don't care.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's, why don't you drop some URLs on us so people are interested in getting some coaching, any listeners out there, or where they can find you?
You can go to whitneynicely.com or go to whitneynicely.com/group, and I'll put you into my Facebook group, or just anywhere on whitneynicely.com. In fact, if you type in Whitney Nicely to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, anything, I pop up all over.
That is a great name.
I got a lot to say.
You got a great name for being a speaker and a coach. That's a good name.
Thank you.
Yeah, you live up to your last name too. Very nice. Thank you. Chatting with you.
Thanks, Jack.
So with that, take a look at the show notes. We'll leave that information there for everybody. And thanks for your time today, Whitney. We really enjoyed our time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
If you have any questions for us, send us a quick email at info@reirookies.com.
Make sure you hit us up on Facebook and Twitter at REI Rookies. And if you got some money sitting on the sidelines you'd like to invest in real estate, head on over to investwithvpp.com. And if you like what you're hearing, head over to iTunes, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. It really helps other rookie investors out there find the show. And remember, get off the bench and get into the game. We'll see you next time.